Good morning, everyone. This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's talk Lyndon Arthur against Anthony Yarde. Yarde took his second professional loss yesterday. But I didn't watch the fight until very early this morning after the Aerospins fight. And, going into the fight, I've only seen Arthur fight one time, and which was recently because I didn't know who he was until he fought Dex Spellman. Just because he's a common opponent with, Anthony Yarde. And even though Yarde stopped Spellman, I was a little bit more impressed with the way Lyndon was boxing in that fight. He's tall, long, rangy, has very good jab, very sharp jab, very quick. Not much of a puncher. He could punch, but I don't think he has the power that Yarde has. But he has very, very good boxing ability. You can just tell by the way he moves. He was an experienced fighter, So I knew he was going to be an issue for Yarde. I just didn't know how the fight was going to go. And I didn't do a prediction video, all right? What I'll say is this after watching the fight. I thought the fight could have gone 7 rounds to 5 for Arthur or 6-6. There was a couple of rounds in there that I said could have gone either way, but based on the way I scored it, I think at the very most, Arthur won 7 rounds to 5. Or it was a draw, either one. I think Yarde just gave too many rounds away early, and him and his coach Tunney showed their inexperience in this sport again, because it was clear after the first 2 or 3 rounds that in order for Yarde to push the fight or to win the fight, he would need to push the fight, and he didn't. They took too long to really get it going. And when they got it going, they were doing well. But their inexperience showed because they were so worried about Yarde's stamina. And, people talk about whether or not Arthur was injured, his right hand was injured or whatever. But whether or not it was injured, even if it wasn't injured, Yarde wasn't doing enough anyway for him to throw the right hand. Arthur was winning rounds just off his jab alone, because there was rounds where there was really nothing going on and Yarde wasn't really putting enough pressure on him. To the person that tweeted me earlier in the day yesterday about this fight, the one thing I said was that I'm worried about Yarde's work rate, this guy's jab and Yarde's work rate. And that was the issue here. Now, Yarde won some rounds where he had counter with a big right hand, and I like that, but it was so rare that it happened. Yarde just doesn't let his hands go. You got to throw your hands, and you got to pick up rounds. Lyndon did throw a couple of right hands in the later rounds, though. And they were clean. So I don't know whether or not his right hand was injured. But regardless, Yarde still wasn't doing anything to make him switch it up. Like Lyndon was doing, he was comfortable. Because Yarde just wasn't really pressing him hard enough. You got to throw punches to win rounds. You got to throw your hands. You got to let them hands go, man. You got to let them fly. And Yarde was just waiting and waiting and waiting. And then when the later rounds came up, he was really pressing Arthur, but you gave too many rounds away. You gave too many away at that point. So like I said, it could have been a draw. I was more leaning towards Arthur, though, 7 rounds to 5. But a couple of debatable ones in there. So anyone that had, you know, Yarde winning by a point or it being a draw, I respect. Anything more than that's too much. Yarde didn't do much. He's coming forward, but you gotta land and throw punches. And if a guy is connecting with the jab consistently, I'm gonna give him. That's a round. That's a round. I mean, he didn't throw a lot of power shots, but he didn't have to because Yarde wasn't putting the pressure on him like that. And his coach should have told him earlier in the fight to press this dude. You gave too many rounds away. After the 3rd round, they should have said, all right, let's push forward now. This guy, he has that jab, but you guys got to push forward. But they had to be thinking of the Kovalev fight. They had to. They had to be thinking of that. But listen, everything has to work together. You got to put everything together. Yarde has crazy amount of boxing ability for the amount of time that he's been boxing. All right? But there's still levels to this sport. And everything runs full circle. You gotta in order for you to be world level or top level, you gotta make adjustments. And your coach gotta be telling you the right things in the corner. When it's time to change it up, he gotta tell you to go. All right, you know what? Enough of this. We gotta go to plan B. We gotta go here. Put more pressure, but pace yourself at the same time. And they didn't do that. They didn't execute that. And this is why he didn't win the fight. He didn't win the fight. And I can't be mad at it. I mean, I'm rooting for Yarde. I'm familiar with Yarde. I've been watching him since he's been a pro. Everybody, he was hyped up. So I kept my eye on him. I like him. I want him to keep winning. I like him. I like his coach. But I like their relationship. But I'm sorry, Yarde is 29 now. He's been able to make a lot of money and do some good things. But if he wants to take it to another level and he wants to become a world, if he's cool with fighting at this level, then let it be. But if you want to be world level, right, and you want to be known and you really want to do damage and make your name, there's potential there. Something got to change. And I like his coach and everything, but it seems like him and his coach is at their limit. You got to get with someone that's more experienced now that can expand your game. You got to expand at this point because you shouldn't have lost that fight. And I don't say that because I don't respect Arthur's boxing ability, because I do. I don't say that because of that. I'm saying that because when I'm watching a fight, I see things that Yarde can do and that he's capable of doing if he's being coached a certain way, But when you're not experienced enough and you literally only fought one really good fighter, it was a huge step up for Yarde at that time. It was a huge step up. And even though Kovalev was older, he was still way more experienced than Yarde. Kovalev was a fighter that had a great jab, but he had a great amount of tools overall, much more tools than Arthur has. So even though he lost to Kovalev, he showed me in that defeat that he should still be capable of beating someone like Lyndon. But going in there with the wrong strategy, having doubts, not having a proper game plan, not being coached the right way, you guys waited too long to put it on this guy, and even if you had some stamina issues by trying to take him out, Lyndon is not the attacker that Kovalev was, especially if his right hand was something was up with it, he wasn't going to put the pressure back on you like Kovalev did. You know what I'm saying? It's like poor management. You know what I'm saying? It sucks, man. I really like this guy, and I hope he still has time. He's 29 years old, but you got to make a change now. And if you're going to have a rematch, you guys have a rematch, and I think you should have a rematch. There's a rematch in the clause, which is cool. So let's get the rematch going, because it's a fight that you can win. But you can't just change the strategy based on what happened in the first fight and just think that things going to say no. You have to expand your boxing ability completely. Going into the rematch, start now. Don't lose another fight and then switch it up. No, start now. I don't know if you need to change your trainer completely, or I don't know if you need to bring somebody else into the camp, but something needs to change at this point, because if you really want to get to the elite level, it's not going to work this way. It's not going to work. We need something to change. I don't know what it is, but we need something to change. All right? What's the point of having all that ability in a short period of time and you don't want to keep expanding? He's a very good fighter. He just needs to work on things. All right? I'm going to leave it at that.